Hold up, nobody saw this coming. When Chief Keef made that move and linked up with NBA YoungBoy, the whole city froze for a second. This wasn't just a collab. This wasn't just music. This felt like a statement. Like a chess move on a board that's been tense for years. And the streets? Yeah, they started talking immediately. OBlock didn't stay silent. The timeline exploded. Loyalty questions. Old alliances brought back up. Fans arguing. Blogs pushing narratives. Was this power? Was this strategy? Or was this a message to everybody watching? Because when two heavyweights step in the same room, it shifts the energy. It forces reactions. And Chicago? Chicago always reacts. You could feel it through every comment section, every live stream, every repost. Some called it legendary. Others called it risky. But one thing is clear, it shook the culture. This ain't just about a song. It's about influence. It's about who stands where when the spotlight hits. And when the smoke clears, somebody's position always changes. So, what really happened behind the scenes? Who approved it? Who didn't? And why does this move feel bigger than rap? Tonight, we're breaking down everything, the reactions, the hidden messages, and what this means moving forward. Because when giants move, the whole game shifts. Let's get into it. The moment that link-up hit the internet, everything changed. It wasn't just another studio picture. It wasn't just two artists shaking hands. This felt calculated, strategic, almost surgical. And when moves are made like that in hip-hop, especially involving names like Chief Keef and NBA YoungBoy, people start reading between the lines. Because history matters. Chief Keef isn't just another rapper. He's a symbol. A foundation piece in Chicago drill. A name tied to a specific era, a specific block, a specific movement. When he moves, people watch. And when he moves unexpectedly, people question. On the other side, NBA YoungBoy carries his own weight. One of the most streamed artists of his generation. A fanbase that rides hard. A reputation for standing firm no matter the pressure. So when these two worlds collide, it's not random. It's impact. And that impact hit OBlock almost instantly. Social media started buzzing within minutes. Fans dissected body language. Old tweets resurfaced. Past interviews were clipped and reposted. People started asking, what does this mean? Is this unity? Is this business? Or is this something deeper? Some supporters saw it as growth. They said this is evolution. Two influential figures deciding to build instead of divide. In an industry full of tension, this could be a power move toward bigger things. Bigger numbers. Bigger statements. Bigger dominance. But others? They weren't so calm. For some, this felt unexpected. Because loyalty in hip-hop isn't just about contracts and features. It's about history. It's about who stood where when things were complicated. It's about the lines that were drawn years ago, even if nobody says them out loud anymore. And when those lines look blurred, reactions happen. That's when OBlock's name started trending alongside the collab news. Comment sections filled with theories. Was everyone on board? Was this approved internally? Or did this catch people off guard too? No official statements. No dramatic responses. Just silence. And sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Because in the streets, you don't always respond instantly. You observe. You calculate. You see how the public reacts first. And the public reaction? It was massive. YouTube channels dropped breakdowns within hours. Reaction streamers went live. TikTok edits started circulating with dramatic music layered over studio clips. The narrative machine was working overtime. Some said this move was about power alignment. In today's rap game, dominance isn't just about diss tracks. It's about influence. Streaming numbers. Cultural impact. Global reach. And when two high-impact artists connect, it sends a message to the industry. We're operating on a different level. Others argued it could shift alliances indirectly. Not through direct conflict, but through positioning. Because even without words, moves communicate. And here's where it gets interesting. This collaboration didn't come with a long explanation. No press conference. No deep caption explaining unity or brotherhood. Just presence. Just proximity. Just energy. That leaves room for interpretation. And in hip-hop, interpretation turns into narrative fast. Fans began breaking down older interviews from both sides, trying to find clues, trying to see if this was planned for years or if it was a sudden connection. People looked at who followed who liked what post, who stayed quiet, because sometimes the smallest digital moves reveal the biggest shifts. Meanwhile, the streets weren't just focused on the music potential. They were focused on symbolism. Chief Keef linking with NBA YoungBoy represents two different regions, two different movements, two different fan bases merging, even temporarily. That kind of crossover multiplies energy. It doesn't just add it. And OBlock being mentioned in the same breath made it feel personal for some observers. But here's the truth, not every move is about division. Sometimes it's about evolution. Artists grow. Perspectives change. Business expands. The game today isn't the same as it was 10 years ago. Streaming dominates. Algorithms matter. International markets matter. And unity between heavy hitters can shake up charts overnight. Still, perception is powerful. When fans feel emotionally invested in street narratives, they react strongly. They defend. They question. They speculate. And speculation spreads faster than facts. Within 24 hours, headlines were framing it as shocking, unexpectedly, game-changing, even controversial. But controversy fuels engagement, and engagement fuels visibility. Which brings up another layer: timing. Why now? Why this moment? Some analysts think it aligns perfectly with the current competitive streaming climate. When artists are constantly battling for top spots, surprise collaborations can disrupt the leaderboard instantly. A single unexpected feature can dominate playlists and shift momentum. Others think it's about legacy positioning. Chief Keef already solidified his influence years ago. NBA YoungBoy continues to dominate digitally. When legacy meets current dominance, it creates a bridge between eras. And bridges are powerful. But OBlock's silence continued. No loud denials. No public outrage. Just observation. That alone tells you something. Because if this move was truly hostile or divisive, you'd likely see tension spill into the open quickly. Instead, what we saw was controlled reactions. Measured energy. Which suggests this might not be as explosive internally as the internet wants it to be. Still, fans won't stop speculating. Some believe this could open doors for more unexpected collaborations across traditional lines. Others believe it's simply business, nothing more, nothing less. But even just business can carry weight in hip-hop. Because business decisions reflect priorities. And priorities reveal direction. Right now, the direction seems focused on expansion. Bigger reach. Wider influence. Stronger positioning in a constantly shifting industry. And here's the key part, the music hasn't even dropped yet. All this reaction, and people haven't heard a single full track from the collaboration. That's the power of presence. When names alone generate headlines, you're dealing with influence at a high level. The real test will come when the song actually hits platforms. Because once the music speaks, narratives either grow stronger or fade out. If it charts high, the move will be labeled genius. If it underperforms, critics will question the strategy. That's how the game works. For now, what we know is simple. The link-up happened. The internet reacted. OBlock stayed composed. And the culture is watching closely. Because in hip-hop, alliances shift quietly before the world fully understands why. This might be unity. This might be a strategy. Or this might be the beginning of a bigger realignment in the rap landscape. One thing's certain, when powerful names connect unexpectedly, the ripple effect doesn't stop overnight. And this? Because what happened next made the situation even more intense. As the hours turned into days, the initial shock didn't fade, it evolved. The conversation shifted from, did this really happen, to, what does this really mean? And that's when the deeper analysis started. Industry insiders began speaking carefully. Not direct confirmations. Not dramatic statements. Just subtle acknowledgments that something major was in motion. Producers hinted at studio sessions. Engineers posted cryptic emojis. Affiliates reposted the original link-up photo without adding context. And that silence? It kept building pressure. Meanwhile, fans weren't quiet at all. Debate threads exploded across platforms. Some argued this collaboration represents maturity, a sign that influential artists are prioritizing growth over past narratives. Others felt it disrupted unspoken codes that fans had emotionally invested in for years. But here's what makes this bigger than a simple feature: timing. The rap game right now is hyper-competitive. Streaming numbers update hourly. Billboard projections circulate midweek. Every major artist is strategically planning releases to maximize impact. Dropping a surprise collaboration between two dominant figures during this climate isn't random. It's positioning. When you combine two massive fan bases, algorithms react. Playlist placements expand. Social engagement spikes. Media outlets rush to publish takes. Even critics are forced to pay attention. And attention equals leverage. Some analysts believe this move could redefine certain alliances in hip-hop, not through confrontation, but through collaboration. Because collaboration shifts energy. It blurs divisions. It creates new narratives. And narratives control perception. Now let's talk about OBlock again. Still no explosive reaction. No direct confrontation. Just composure. That composure suggests awareness. It suggests that whatever this move represents, it may not be as chaotic internally as outsiders assume. Sometimes the loudest reactions come from spectators, not participants. But perception still matters. When fans connect artists to specific neighborhoods, crews, and histories, they build emotional loyalty. So when something unexpected happens, it feels personal to them. Even if, behind closed doors, the situation is simply professional. And that's where the culture gets complicated. Because hip-hop thrives on authenticity, on real stories, on loyalty and consistency. But it also thrives on evolution, on reinvention, on breaking patterns. This collaboration sits right at that intersection. Is loyalty redefined? Is it business elevated? Or is it strategy disguised as unity? Let's break down the strategic angle. From a business perspective, this move makes sense. Both artists dominate in different lanes, different regions, different demographics. When their audiences overlap, numbers multiply fast. Merchandise spikes. Tour possibilities expand. Cross-market exposure strengthens both brands. That's chess, not checkers. But emotionally, fans don't analyze like executives. They analyze like supporters. Which is why you saw passionate debates. Some claim this changes the narrative of the streets. Others say the streets don't operate through Instagram posts and studio photos. And maybe that's the real shift happening here. The power of perception has moved online. Years ago, rumors spread locally before they hit the mainstream. Now, within seconds, millions see the same image and form opinions instantly. Reaction culture amplifies everything. YouTubers dissect facial expressions. Streamers replay clips in slow motion. Comment sections become battlegrounds of interpretation. But the artists themselves? Still calm. And that calmness sends a message. It suggests confidence. Because if this move was reckless, there would likely be defensive energy. Instead, what we're seeing is steady momentum. No apologies. No clarifications. Just forward motion. That implies intention. Now here's another layer: influence politics. When two high-impact artists collaborate, it indirectly pressures others in the industry. It shifts alliances subtly. It forces competitors to respond creatively. Surprise moves like this raise the bar for unpredictability. And unpredictability is power. The more unpredictable you are, the harder it is for rivals to strategize against you. Some believe this link-up could lead to more unexpected partnerships across the industry. If walls can come down here, maybe other barriers aren't as permanent as fans thought. Or maybe this is a one-time statement. A moment designed purely to shake the timeline. Either way, it worked. Because even without music released yet, this collaboration dominated conversation cycles for days. That's rare. Usually hype fades quickly unless backed by controversy or conflict. But this wasn't fueled by direct negativity. It was fueled by mystery. Mystery keeps audiences engaged longer than drama sometimes. Now let's address the hidden message theories. Fans started scanning lyrics from past songs, looking for lines that could hint at foreshadowing. They revisited interviews, trying to decode subtle comments. Some even speculated about future tour stops and whether certain cities would be symbolic. But speculation doesn't equal confirmation. And until the music drops, everything remains interpretation. However, one undeniable truth stands: the culture felt this move. When hip-hop feels something collectively, it means influence is at play. And influence is currency. Right now, both sides gained from this moment. Visibility surged. Engagement multiplied. The narrative spotlight shifted toward them without either having to say much publicly. That's strategic dominance. But what happens next determines legacy impact. If the music delivers, this could mark a turning point. A moment remembered as bold and visionary. A collaboration that redefined boundaries. If it doesn't, the hype could become just another viral chapter in an era full of short attention spans. The stakes are high, because when expectations rise this quickly, execution has to match. And remember, the streets might debate online, but charts tell a different story. Numbers either validate strategy or question it. For now, OBlock remains composed, observing, letting the narrative unfold naturally. And that composure might be the strongest statement of all. Because sometimes the most powerful reaction is restraint. This situation isn't exploding outward. It's simmering, building anticipation, waiting for the music to speak louder than speculation. And when that drop happens, everything changes again. It might be about results. Did this collaboration reshape alliances? Did it dominate charts? Did it silence critics? Or did it create new tensions beneath the surface? One move sparked conversation. The next move will determine impact. And in a game where timing is everything, the next 48 hours after release could define how this chapter is remembered. Because when giants align, history watches. And history doesn't just record noise. It records outcomes. The next 48 hours changed everything. When the track finally dropped, the anticipation turned into numbers. Within minutes, streaming platforms lit up. Playlists updated. Reaction channels went live instantly. Social feeds flooded with snippets, captions, fire emojis, and bold opinions. This wasn't just a release. It was a test of strategy, a test of loyalty, a test of influence. And the results? Immediate impact. The song didn't just trend, it dominated conversation cycles. Fans dissected every bar, every tone shifts, every ad-lib. People weren't just listening to music. They were listening for meaning. Was there a hidden message? Was there a subtle nod? Was there a quiet warning layered between the lines? Speculation hit another level. But here's what stood out the most. There was no chaos. No explosive backlash. No public fallout. No direct confrontation. Instead, what we saw was something rare in modern rap culture: control. The collaboration felt intentional from start to finish. No reckless energy. No unnecessary shots. Just two heavyweights stepping into the booth and delivering presence. And that presence spoke louder than any rumor ever could. OBlock's name continued circulating in discussions, but not with panic, with analysis. Observers started realizing something important. This wasn't about breaking loyalty. It was about expanding power. Hip-hop evolves in phases. There's the conflict phase, the dominance phase. And then there's the consolidation phase, where major figures realize collaboration can sometimes strengthen positions more than division ever could. This felt like consolidation. Two influential forces aligning, not to erase history, but to create a new chapter. And here's the key shift: the culture adjusted. The same comment sections that were filled with shock days earlier now shifted tone. Conversations became less emotional and more strategic. Fans began saying things like, "This is smart. This is growth. This is business." And that change in tone tells you everything. Because in hip-hop, perception can flip fast. What starts as controversy can transform into respect once execution proves strong. Streaming numbers continued climbing. The track held momentum. Reaction videos multiplied. Even critics who were skeptical initially admitted one thing: the move worked. Not just musically, strategically. Now let's talk about legacy. Years from now, this moment won't be remembered as that shocking link-up. It'll be remembered as the moment expectations shifted. The moment fans realized alliances aren't always permanent walls. Influence is fluid, and the smartest players understand when to pivot. This collaboration didn't erase anyone's past. It didn't rewrite history, but it did prove something powerful. The biggest moves in hip-hop don't always come with loud announcements. Sometimes they come quietly, strategically, confidently, and the silence around it, that was strength. Because when artists are secure in their position, they don't over-explain their moves. They let results speak. And the results spoke clearly. The culture felt it. The charts reflected it. The conversation shifted because of it. What started as shock turned into momentum. What looked like tension turned into calculated expansion. And in the end, nobody lost. That might be the most surprising part. No dramatic fallout. No public division. Just evolution. This moment proves something about modern rap culture. Power doesn't always come from opposition anymore. Sometimes it comes from alignment. The streets didn't burn. They adjusted. And that adjustment might signal a bigger shift in how influence works in today's game. Because at the highest level, it's no longer just about who stands against who. It's about who understands timing. And this timing was executed perfectly. The shock created attention. The silence built suspense. The release delivered results. That's a full strategy cycle. From viral surprise to measurable dominance. Now the question isn't, why did this happen? The real question is, who moves next? Because when giants make bold plays and it works, others start rethinking their own positions. And that's how eras quietly change. Not through chaos. Through calculated moves that reshape expectations. This wasn't just a collaboration. It was a statement without shouting, a power shift without conflict, a reminder that in today's rap game, unpredictability is currency, and those who control the narrative control the moment. And right now, they controlled the moment. End of chapter. But not the end of the story. If you made it this far, you already know, this wasn't just another collab. This was a power move. So now I want to hear from you. Was this unity? Was this strategy? Or was this something bigger brewing behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I'm reading everything. If you rock with real breakdowns, real analysis, and no bias takes, hit that like button and subscribe. Because we don't just report headlines here, we decode the game. And trust me, the next chapter might be even crazier. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. We're just getting started.